react to it. I guess if that's the kind of way things go. But hey, Brandon, it's Friday. We're going to do this on a Friday. It might get weird.
I guarantee you it's going to get weird. So I can only be serious on What If Wednesdays, and we don't have a name for Friday. So, well, it's Freaky Friday.
Freaky Friday. I think it is. I'm feeling the energy you're putting out. Normally it's Wednesdays. We had big things, but we're here now. Not that this isn't big. It's huge. It's in the top 30 podcasts in New Zealand. Love you, Kiwis.
Well, this one's not. The one that is the banner, if you're watching, Harmonious at Lunch, that is a top 30 podcast.
Well, that's right. You know, we do so many popular shows. I'm going to need a guide soon.
We're actually too cool. Actually, fun fact. So we made it to the top 1% in all of global podcasts last week. This week, we moved up another 700 spots.
Global? That's all around. That's practically all around the world.
It might just be the whole world. I think that's what they mean by global.
Look it up. That's what we have ChatGPT for. We don't need to know anything anymore.
We're going for universal podcasts. Welcome back to The Ether, the show that disrupts the way you think about running your business. Join me, Brandon, and my co-host, Sean Delaney, the creator of What If, on today's episode. Our goal is to provide context around what we talk about so you have the clarity to cut through the noise and the confidence to grow and run a truly harmonious business. Let's jump in and take the next step to achieving business freedom. You know, I am so happy I hit the right button for that intro. And here's why. Because when you run multiple top 1% podcasts, you get confused about what buttons to hit at the right time. Are we on the Ether? Are we on Harmonious at Lunch? It's Friday while we're recording this. We never record on Fridays. We are both unhinged. Let's talk about building unicorn businesses.
Look at you, Sean. Swagger on you today, though. Walk around. Listen to the problems that you have now. Not everyone who's hearing clearly, and not everyone who's hearing the sound of my voice knows the problems of running multiple top 1% podcasts. Oh my God, Brandon.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough. I'm going to say you should feel bad for me. Little pity party. My life is hard, and we're on the precipice of growing our company to a staggering number. More on that soon. We'll keep you in the loop. And you are too. There's a lot going on.
Nobody works harder than you, according to you. So this is fantastic. I can't be more thrilled. Hey, yes. What are we talking about today? Building unicorn businesses?
We just mentioned 4 unicorns. So are we pros at building unicorns? Maybe. But there's a principle and there's a framework to building unicorn businesses with, more importantly, speed and scale. And we want to break it down because it's not a unicorn doesn't have to be a unicorn. You can adopt these principles and help grow your business too. So are we feeling good? Are we a little bit arrogant? Maybe, but we want to have fun and disrupt the way you think about growing your business. So we want to do that. Let's do that.
Don't label me with your horrible names. All right. So listen, guess what I did?
What did you do?
And you were going to have this conversation. I decided let's do what so many people do and use ChatGPT to tell us what we're supposed to be thinking about things. Isn't that fun? So I don't like AI. I love AI. It's one of the few things I can spell. What I love about it is that it gave me this answer. So get this. So I did what most people do. We're talking about scaling and the speed to scale. And so we weren't here on Wednesday because I was off doing something that is breathtaking in its potential impact on the world, people's health, the future of humanity. I don't even think I'm really understating that. Breathtaking. And so it's going to scale furiously. And even in the meeting I was in, we were running far afield in all the places we could go. And of course, the question is asked then, is this scary? And we were talking about that when clients come to us and they're on the verge, they have this kind of disruptive technology, idea, process, service, whatever it is. And the money is there or going to be there as a result. Because we'll talk about that when we talk about the challenges of scaling. But let's assume it's there. They come to us and say, now I'm scared, because they start to realize that the processes and the patterns and the thinking, the methodology, the theories, all those things that got them to where they were to launch is not going to be what they need to scale. If they haven't figured it out yet, they come to us saying, I'm bumping my head against the ceiling, I can't figure it out. But when they do know there's a way to do it, they're like, I'm scared, I don't know how I'm going to be able to keep up with this. And we say, what I was feeling in the meeting on Wednesday as well is, well, we're not scared at all, because the architecture that we built to solve for so many things also builds for scaling. It's built to flex with you. It's not a glass that when you pour water into it, it takes the shape, the water takes the shape of the object. It is flexible enough that it will meet you in all the phases of your business growth, from nascency and you launching and getting a foothold in the world, to then scaling, to then exiting, or being stable and withstanding the test of time. So that's that kind of, we know what we're doing. We're fumbling. We have speed to scale. Now we need speed here. And then later we need stability. It flexes for all of us. Do you want to hear what ChatGPT, Chad, as I like to call it, because who wants to say ChatGPT? Fix your name. Anyway, you want to know what it said about
two things. First, for context, we call ChatGPT Chad. So from now on, if we say Chad, it's because we're friends with him now. And the second thing is, real quick, just for those of you who are new out there, Sean, please, the word architecture in business may be new for some people. So
sure,
tell me what is an architecture versus something we see on the internet all the time, templates to grow your business.
Let's catch up everybody in the rest of the universe, since we're pointing there now. So here's what we're talking about. There are 10 fundamental disciplines that run through every single business. Doesn't matter what it is, doesn't matter industry, size, scope, it does not matter. Every business is different, but all business is the same. It is a value exchange between human beings, then commercialized and set into some kind of system for the delivery of value. That's it. We overcomplicated it over the years. The Industrial Revolution expanded things beyond people's ability to see what's going on. Fiefdoms and disciplines metastasized into what they are today. And small business looks at large businesses that have these architectures and say, I must do all those components that they're doing, but they try to do it the way big business is doing it, which is wrong. But the reason they can withstand all of that wrongness is because there is, in the very creation of a large institution, there is a mayonnaising of the stupid that happens, and people can get away with a lot of that. Okay? There's a lot of waste, though, in that process. So we have distilled these 10 disciplines back to the essence of what they really are. Any business that wants to be able to thrive, scale, withstand the test of time has to master these 10 disciplines, but not only master them at their distilled 20% of the activity to get you 80% of the lift, they also have to be able to play together in a way that helps you leverage them one against the other. This operating system, this set of rules and ways of thinking, because there's two different things. It's both the process and then the application of them. So are we a lean company? Are we a company that believes in speed, fail fast? Are we a company that believes in do no harm first and let's be methodical? Are we highly regulated? Are we in the Wild West? All kinds of things that will then affect your attitude towards business that gets layered over that. So we have a process, an architecture, a structure, and then we have the ways that we play in there that are mostly rooted in our core values and where we are in our phase of growth. We have that. So we have that. So we teach this architecture. That architecture is called the harmonious business model. Harmonious is an acronym, and it is both a description of the state that you get after you install this way of thinking and these processes, procedures, and model into your business. It is a state of harmonious coming together of all the components, like in an orchestra. And the processes tell you that orchestra the music to play. So we have that. Now, inside of there, in that structure, we've identified that there are 4 areas that anything that businesses are struggling with, they can be put into these 4 buckets. Those 4 buckets are the acronym FEAR. Am I making sense here, Brandon, at this moment?
We're tracking. We know what fear is. So real quick, just to summarize, architecture, think about a house or a building. You never start without an architect first putting the plans on paper so the house doesn't collapse on itself. Why wouldn't you do the same thing with a business? Not a business plan. It is a framework to run your business so everything connects and works together. So architecture, now fear.
It's both the plan and it's both the plan and the building itself. It is the architecture. It is the pipes and the wires and all the things that go into the structure as well. So it's the most comprehensive out there. So the 4 fears are the 4 pains that we call the 4 fears are finance. So we call it finance and scaling, but today we're going to talk about the barriers to scaling. That's I don't have the money, or I don't have enough clients in order to generate the money. So I need an investment, or I need to be able to get more throughput or more efficiency from my business so I can have the money to do and expand where I need to go. External threats is the E. I don't control the regulatory environment. I don't control taxes. I don't control my competition, and I don't control large swaths of the marketplace. These are the things that make me feel hunted 24/7 because they never stop coming at me. Allocation of time is A. I don't know where to be spending my time. I'm overworked. I can't get free of my business. I can't get home to see my kids, or I can't see my kids. I can't spend more time at work doing the things that I like to do. Those are the different manifestations of I have issues with time. I'm essentially saying I don't like the state of the world that I'm in, and I want to speed up change. That's the only real time travel there is. That is the allocation of time. And then there's the recruitment of help. Nobody builds anything alone. I need a business partner. I need a crew of advisors. I need a lawyer. I need an accountant. Heck, I just need my wife on my side. I need some kind of help. Or I also need internal employees to help me fight the fights and play the games. If you see business the way we see it, I need people to play with and build this thing. But I don't know how to find them, manage them, inspire them, get them to stay, get them to perform at their best, yada, yada, yada. Or I have them, I just don't know how to delegate. Every problem that ever manifests or comes to us, it can be essentially diluted into one of those problems and one of those buckets. Are we tracking there?
We are tracking. So now talk to me about your friend, Chad.
Let's look at what Chad tells us. Here's the top. I said, what are the top 10? We know what they are because they always come to us. But I wanted to say, let's see if there's something remarkable here. Here they are. Limited access to capital. We just talked about that. Well, let me go through the list. Limited access to capital. Talent acquisition and retention. Oh, where are they? How do I get them? Operational efficiencies, meaning scaling the business by streamlining processes and operations to handle increased demand. That sounds like time to me. More efficiency, throughput, fine. Market saturation or competition. This is red ocean, blue ocean. Differentiate yourself. Well, you do that either through process, through the effects you get, or through your messaging of what you do. But that's all marketplace and competition. Talk about that. Lack of scalable systems or infrastructure. The architecture is the infrastructure. And scalable systems, that's in your process management, that's your technology. Yeah. Regulatory compliance and compliance issues. This is especially if you're expanding into a new market. So, hey, I wasn't regulated before. I need to do a new thing. Now there's regulations. It's adding to my cost. Or I have a threshold business where now that I'm operating at this kind of level, eyeballs are on me and I have things I have to comply with. Okay? That would fall into that risk, environmental risk for us. Customer acquisition and retention. Sounds like we're saying the same things over and over again here, right? But that is, so, well, I don't know how to get more customers. You're trying to get more money so you can scale, so you can buy new systems, hire new people, get it. Okay, but that's still customer acquisition. A lot of people then just go into marketing, marketing to marketers about how to market without the rest of the structure. Okay. This is especially a problem. Listen to what it says. There's additional problems if you lack a clear value proposition or marketing strategies. There's the marketing again, but the value proposition, we do whole modules on value proposition and the design of your value engine, your value chain, from taking nothing, raw materials, ideas, concepts, learning, and turning them into physical or intangible projects.
Chad said that last part?
No, that's me saying.
No, I'm saying the marketing and value chain. Chad said that?
Clear value proposition.
Okay.
Which is, as you know, a small portion of what we teach. So it's punching around. It's punching around the area. It's close enough. Right. I'm not like, this is.
Give Chad some credit, okay? He's trying.
It's all true. These are all stuff that it's all stuff that we've heard a million times. That's how it's finding it. And this is everybody that comes to us. I'm just saying, isn't it remarkable that once again, you go and validate in the external world what we're seeing all day, every day, and that we've solved for all of it by having the architecture. Found risk management. We talked about that already. Chad's repeating himself. It's like hearing a story from my dad. It's like, I heard this one 100 times. Does it turn out differently, this one? Well, he's getting old enough now that it might. It's like, you did what? The story is now, we're going off road here for a second, but it's just funny. But did you know that Granddad did X, Y, Z? He never did that. No, he never did that. He never played baseball in a league where they used dynamite. He didn't. I don't know what you're hearing, but okay. And then he was the hero of World War I. None of that. Great stories. Founder dependence. Okay. That's just, I'm too attached to my business. I can't delegate. I don't have enough people. We already addressed those two problems. And then resistance to change. But this is the first interesting one that I hear, because you don't hear this one a lot. So good on you, Chad, for realizing that you might have that. But that is, if you remember that one of these things is not like the other. That one's not like the other, because they're not talking about a lack of a resource or the external environment causing something. This is the first internal inspiration, is what we would call it, right? That's why that one stands out to me, because so for the benefit of the world now listening, the universe now listening, there are two components sort of to the human optimization in a meaningful environment, which is what we call HR. It's home. So the humans optimize. There is the management aspect of it that has to be exemplary, but there is the leadership element too. Leadership and management are two different things. We don't call them that. Home is the management and inspiration is the leadership, which is better than leadership, because leadership to me implies you of others. I'm leading them, whereas inspiration is more inclusive of also the self, because it starts with the business leader themselves, and can they inspire themselves to do the things they need to do, and then be an example for the people that they're trying to inspire. So resistance to change, that is we didn't square ourselves up with our core values, our mission, or vision at the beginning with all of our employees, or we didn't hire the right people in for the right reasons tied to their acceptance of the core values and the mission. Because if you get that right first, you hired the right people. And so then if you're resistant to change, then that means you built, though, a culture that is resistance to change. And that's a cultural problem that you have to hack at in much different ways. But the architecture already addresses all of these, which is why then when we're talking, Brandon, we're like, oh my, we have 3 directions right now, working with 3 different massive opportunities, all of which have global impact. And people are like, how is that possible? How can you possibly keep up with all of those things and not be terrified? That's why, because we have that architecture. So anybody out there who is listening to this, who is saying, I'm struggling with this whole thing, that's where you need to be looking at all of those things, from your strategy and understanding and focus and ability to allocate resources strategically, right? That's the setting of direction, that kind of thing. The middle part is what are our processes, our value chains? What are the things that we must always do in order to provide maximum value for the exchange for the amount back that you feel comfortable with and satisfied with? So it's always leverage in the customer's direction. How do we build all of that? And then the last is, how do we protect ourselves and manage the risk so that we stay here forever? Those are like the big buckets of those phases.
So here's what would be fun, because you asked, Chad does what you ask it to do, right? I mean,
yeah,
much different than our children. Chad, you asked Chad for 10 things, right? If we asked Chad for 50 things, this would actually be a fun experiment. It would give you 50. It only gave you 10 because you asked for it. They all filtered into the 4 buckets. I would be curious to see, as you scaled that 50, 100, however many you ask for, like how many fall in each bucket, because that would probably reveal the 2 most common ones that we usually see, or at least filter people into, because of what they're saying when they come to us. I'm sure Chad would do the same thing because it's just compiling results from the internet. But it's, people come to us with a myriad of problems that all boil down to one of 4, but really one of like 2 main problems.
Yeah. Yes. Because we have the sprints that, well, when you think of it this way too, though, we have to do a little bit of analysis on that, because we have to ferret out what is it really, because we've said this, you can go in, and anybody who takes our diagnostic gets a, what do you call it? The podcast with the slide deck that they see.
No, I don't want you to. Yeah. Well, I don't want to. Let me pause that, because I don't want you to take our diagnostic. What I want you to do is go to whatif.com/clarity, and everything will be spelled out. The diagnostic, how to take it, how to interpret it.
Yeah.
Sean, that guy, whichever side of the screen he's on, if you're watching or listening, the other guy that was talking.
We're made for audio.
He will walk you through. It's 3-part series. It's absolutely free. 3-part series, 35 minutes. Which of these 4 fears are you pains? Excuse me. Which of the 4 pains are you experiencing? What is it really? And then how is that showing up in your business? And then bonus, how to fix it in 90 days or less. So that's the promise we want to give you. If this is resonating, if you have one of those 10 things that Chad said that we went over,
10, 50, 200, you see that it very quickly starts to repeat itself, because then it's just flavors on because it is even seeing. I wonder if we should ask it, hey, bucket it into 4 buckets. What would you come up with?
Ask it what the 4 buckets would be.
I mean,
that'd be interesting. Yeah.
Just interesting to see if it suddenly says, no, I've decided now is the time to end humanity. And then we've lost the war with machines already before it even started. Now, I don't know what it's going to say, but we know they fall into those 4 buckets. Those are the lines that make the most sense, because it gets us directionally when we're trying to help people figure out where their real problem lies. That's the first thing that happens. We look at the diagnostic and say, this is what you should be saying. You should be saying your problem is time. What are you saying it is? I'm saying it's my people. They're the worst. But I don't think that's true, because of this, and this. And now let's unpack it. And then we find out they're like, oh yeah, it really is my time. Okay. Or whichever direction it goes. They're like, oh, I need more of this. Really? You had the one person, I need time management. Okay, we'll get you back some of your time. I don't want back my time. I want to work more hours. Then just work more hours. It sounds like you have a time management problem with your family. We're not getting rid of your family. What number did you think you were calling? No, but frequently they'll say it's here versus here. They're not always in the right place. Once we get them in the right place, pretty quickly to diagnose, yes, the real true root cause. And that's why they've been hacking at this problem for so long and can't solve for it. It's because they never were in the right place. And they sought out experts in solving the problem that they say self-diagnosed incorrectly. So I have a marketing issue, and I keep going to marketing conferences, and I keep upping my game in marketing, and keep doing all the marketing, and I market to marketers about their marketing. Well, if that were the answer, then why don't you have the biggest business in the world? Yeah, gee, I don't know. Let me go ask a better marketer. because I know the problem's there. The problem's not there. It was never there.
I used to do that though, and I'm sure maybe you did too at the dawn of the internet. So I remember I was probably a teenager, maybe early 20s, and I would self-diagnose myself with things. Anyone else ever been there? You go to WebMD when WebMD was like new, and you're like, I have 3 different types of cancer. Well, realistically, what do? You don't just go schedule an appointment with an oncologist. No, if you have a brain, first you get off the internet. Second of all, you go to your general physician and you say, what's going on? They're like, you have a splinter in your right thumb. Like, whew, a good thing. I never was diagnosed with cancer. It was always something like a splinter. It's the same thing.
And any doctor that would take that answer too. You said, well, I have pain running down here, so it's clearly an issue with my right foot. They go, I really don't think those things are. It is. You just need Percocet and lots of it to get rid of the pain in my nerve. Something else is going on here. No, let me check you out first. That's the same thing.
Yeah, you would never get the right results if you diagnose yourself and then go seek out that expert. That's what you're talking about. The marketers talking to marketers about marketing. It's just the cycle we find ourselves in. There's a holistic approach that we're just trying to stretch your brain noodle to see that. So this comes back to the beginning of the question the beginning of the episode. How do you build a unicorn question with speed and scale? So sum this up for me. When we tie together the 4 pain points, we look at the diagnostic, we look at getting clarity and direction. How do we take that and build a unicorn?
Well, if you so this is also why I bet this is what they love around the world, is that moment when we have like 30 seconds
the universe
and you ask a 20-minute question at the end. So what you would do if you had the clarity, if you had the bad, you know where your deficits are, you know where the gaps are in performance, and you know how it feels in your business right now operating without those elements. So you can keep trying to hide from them, go back to the thing that you love. You're a marketer who loves talking about marketing all day, every day. So you're going to go to another marketing conference and you're going to forget about the fact that there's these other 3 burning pits of despair in your business. And you're like, well, I can't even look at it. I don't even want to do it. It's not what I do. Now's the time to get the diagnostic and go, I get it. The reason I'm having this problem that I'm trying to solve with something else is buried right here. And because we tell you what to do about it, not just where the problem is, but how to fix it, well, then now it's much easier because you say, well, I can only do this. And because we distill it down and say, sounds like it's a serious problem to fix, but that's only if you're listening to those experts, the expert there. Because if it turns out you have a process problem and you go to a process person, they're going to tell you here's 963 processes that you're going to need, because that's what they do. That's what they love. That's where they love to rip and jam all day, every day. Don't put somebody who's an expert in saxophone in the band if you don't want to hear those sexy sax notes. Okay. So we tell you and said, here's the 20% of things that you should do. Just do this and you're going to get 80% of the lift. And then you want to go and play around with adding things on and complexity before you're ready, knock yourself out. But at least you've done now the bare minimum to get to close those gaps and say, things are starting to sound, look, feel, operate a whole heck of a lot better around here. That's what I would do. I would master those 10 disciplines and connect them in the way that we suggest people to do. And then you will be able to scale and flex, because we can't specifically tell somebody what to do, how to scale, because we don't know where they are and which of those problems is holding them back.
Well, we can, just not without seeing the scores, the bad.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I meant
right now. I'm sit here and tell you these are the 3 things to do to grow your business. No, those people are irresponsible and should be canceled off the internet.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Yes.
We wouldn't do that.
No. So here's the 3 things you need to do to scale your company. 1.
We are going to say it
on the screen, and you listen to the 35 minutes of us figuring out which one of the pains you are experiencing. Step 2, you take the bad, which is part of that experience. It's all spelled out for you. You really don't have to do anything separate than
8-minute diagnostic.
8 minutes. It's part of the 35 minutes. It's built in. Amazing. Step 3, to build a unicorn business. You're going to get the opportunity to review those numbers with one of us, one of our fractional COOs, whenever you take the assessment. So step 3 is just have somebody tell you, have a doctor diagnose what's actually going on, how those results tie into the 4 pains, and where to take that over those next 90 days. We want to work in 90-day sprints because that's what's going to get you the biggest result. So we're just going to do a little bit, but a lot of it within 90 days. And that's when we start to grow businesses really, really quickly, because it's not about adding more and more on. It's really about peeling away the nonsense and getting away from the garbage that's keeping you stuck to identify what's going to get you the biggest lift in the shortest amount of time. And that is why we call ourselves the lazy consultants, because we want you to do less and get more.
Do we call ourselves that?
I've been calling us that on podcasts. People love it.
Speaking of moron,
that's me.
Which you said. Moron. Speaking of morons, Brandon, says someone, sounds to me like you're trying to get me in some kind of sales funnel and then get me on the phone to sell me something. And
yeah, we are, but we're not. And so actually, this is interesting question. I had a conversation this morning with somebody, one of these calls, which you would think would be a sales call. I start the calls by saying, this is specifically not a sales call. What I want to do is give you the strategy to grow your business over the next 90 days so that you can call me on my BS and see if I'm lying to you. And if these numbers don't add up to what they say they are. Should you want us to hold your hand? Yeah, you got to pay for implementation. Knowledge is free these days. You can Google anything we're saying and put it together yourself. If you want us to hold your hand, we'll do that. But the first thing I'm going to do is give you all of that knowledge and literally the strategy. Most people even charge you for strategy. It's very easy for us to just give that away. And we love doing it. So if you want to hold us to hold your hand, love to do it in a non-romantic way, of course. But you want knowledge, free.
It's part of the lazy, because we're so lazy. You can't put up with the romance, Brandon.
I have a wife. I don't have time for romance. There's none of that. No.
I'm sure she sounds like she must be just thrilled. So lazy consultants, platonic hand holding only. This guy has no time for romance, ladies and gentlemen. He gets right to it. I love this. You love this. What are we doing, Brandon? What's the next step for me?
We're going to go away now, and people are going to go do exactly what we told them to do. Whatif.com/clarity. And we'll see you on the other side of that.
That'd be good.
Non-romantic hand-holding.
Hey, this has been one heck of a show. Maybe we should do these on Friday all the time. I don't know.
It's been completely unhinged. Shout out to the Kiwis and the aliens. We love all of you. We'll see you next week on The Ether.